Well, I had a friend and she posted on a Native Roll 3 page about things for the military. She posted on it that you guys were looking for some stories, and I thought, oh, I'll just try. What the heck? So I just submitted it, and like I just waited about a couple months, and found out Guy Scott called me and told me I had been selected, and like, wow, I was surprised.
I was excited to submit a story. It was actually the toughest part was figuring out what I thought would best be suited by music and the musical format.
I really, really was hoping my story would get picked. And when the letter finally came, it was an acceptance letter. I was so thrilled. I can't, I don't know if I've ever expressed that, how much I was thrilled to be chosen.
I was actually very surprised when I was told that I was elected for the story to become a musical. I'm going to be honest with you. I have never thought about having a musical.
I think I had the easiest part. I just had to explain my history, my story, my emotions, what I was thinking, what I felt, what I saw, experienced to two individuals that just didn't live the life that I did. But what they were able to do is hear things about my story and able to pluck things to build. They really, through a couple of interviews that we did, they were able to pull together beautiful music with beautiful words that can explain, that absolutely resonate with me in a way that I could never write myself.
It's been a wonderful experience, growing experience for me, and also, and I appreciate the opportunity to take part in this. And that you guys are reaching out to vets, because there are a lot of vets with really interesting stories, and I think they're important to share those stories. It's another way of bridging that military civilian divide. So thanks for what you're doing.
And the work that you do at NMI is so important because it gives not just writers and creatives a safe space, but you open up your space to those who are not as accomplished as others to help them create these pieces like this. And I think right now, with what we've gone through over the last year and some change, I just know that people are going to want to write, and they're going to express themselves, and they're just lucky that you guys are here.
The music has got to portray the veterans' feelings, not the words, the feelings. It's more than the words, it's the feelings. And Ryan did an outstanding job. And then, you guys came out with the perfect singer and actor. You should see the reaction in Portugal.
But I've never done something like this where you're honoring someone's journey and honoring his story, and trying to be as honest as possible. So it's very touching and enlightening for me, and I have a big responsibility to be able to tell the story correctly.
I think it's important for everyone to hear these stories. It's a transitional experience for veterans in ancient history, Greek history and Roman history. When the warriors came back from combat, they would sit around and tell stories about their excursions and what happened to the people that were left at home. And that helped, their community understand them, and it helped the combat military veteran transition more into the everyday life that was now waiting for them. And that's a huge, huge important gap that I think New Musicals is fulfilling through this.
I found myself that when I would write about something, I would stop thinking about it. And the more I wrote, the less I wouldn't say tormented by it, but the less those thoughts would be in my mind, because I could have time to think about it, explain it, put it in emotional understanding for myself, put it on a piece of paper, and kind of like catalog it away out of my mind. And it was something I didn't have the time to do that in the moment over there. It was just like things were always happening. You just have to just keep moving on. So it gave me time to kind of compartmentalize and understand and get the stuff out of my head. And it was very cathartic.
there was when I retired, I was having a bad time concerning readjusting the routine. You know, you take the camouflage fatigue out, and now you are in civilian attire, and you don't have to go to a certain meeting at a certain hour, and you have got to produce this amount of words in this amount of time. Everything stopped, and guess what? It becomes very stressful.
But the more we talk in the community and like we're doing right now, it's going to help everybody kind of understand why veterans do act the way they do sometimes, and that they don't want to be that way at all. They don't. They want to be their happy-go-lucky self. But when you go to war, it changes you. It does, and you just have to realize it and work on it. You know, and the family needs to realize that too, that they don't want to be that way at all.
I have been so blessed because I have had a few Zoom meetings with Billie and with our director, Johnny. So we were able to talk about her life and her experiences. And it brought such illumination to the lyrics that Angela crafted, because I could tell that she had taken Billie's stories and put them into the songs and into the story. And so I knew and had the luxury of knowing the backstory on the red hair, white skin, blue eyes. I know exactly who that patient was and her experience with that young man.
But seeing it come together, for me, it was awesome, but it was kind of like a weird out of body experience where I'm looking at my life be portrayed by someone else. I've never had that experience before, so it was kind of unique, but I was able to look at it objectively from somebody that, like, I wanted to hear the words and hear the music and the emotion, and it just had all the goosebumps for me personally. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. This is something that I couldn't ever do on my own. So it just sounded so good, and I was just really impressed how it came together, and I really think it stands on its own, that it can hopefully reach out to other people, and people can pluck something from my experience through that portrayal and find something that maybe they don't know about the war, or they can learn from it. And I'm very happy that exists, that it can reach out to other people.
I actually know a handful of veterans about my age, but there's not a lot of stories going around. They don't usually want to talk about it. It's I don't know if that's a personal choice, if they're tired of talking about it. But I haven't had much insight into that world, so it was really interesting to hear what it was like to go over and to have that camaraderie and the tightness of your regiment. In the middle of all of this warfare, these explosions, these terrifying things, and I'm really fascinated by the support bond between these people and how they look out for each other.
I have met so many artistic and talented veterans, and I'll say that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter whether you served in combat or even if you deployed. There are stories worth telling, and there's something about the experience of serving in the military that I think opens up a part of us that makes us better storytellers.
But I was very, very, very lucky with the team that I was working with. And my composer Ryan she's just great. I mean, the only thing that I regret is that it is over.
I think this story is really powerful because anyone who listens to it or watches it, I think will relate in some way. And I also think for people who have never served in the military, I think it's really important that we do hear these stories, that we hear the stories of these veterans, because we all have something that we can learn from them. And I think this is a really great opportunity to be able to inform ourselves a little bit and to be able to offer a little more empathy for people who have fought for our freedoms.
I thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
And thank you. I cannot thank New Musicals enough.
Thank you. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having this opportunity for the veterans to be able to share their stories and reaching out to the veterans. So it's been a big help, and I know you're probably going to be doing more too.